So in this tutorial, I just wanted to give you a very basic introduction to colouring with alcohol pens using our Spectrum Noir blendable alcohol markers. Now the whole premise of our system, and I've got the full system laid out here, is that you don't need to understand the composition of colours to understand how these pens work together. You just need to take pens from within the same colour family. So for example, I'm going to use here DR5 and DR7, which are both from the dark red family, so we know they will blend together beautifully. You can see here we've got the bright pinks, which are the BPs, we've got the blue turquoises, which are the BTs. And for example, if you're working with blues, make sure you blend blue turquoises together, or if you want to blend true blues, make sure you blend them together separately. As soon as you start trying to blend a blue turquoise with a true blue, this is where you start to get a mismatch in colours. So I'm going to start by taking a couple of the pens. So red is the most notoriously difficult colour to blend. So that's the one I'm going to show you with, because if we can blend with red, you can blend with anything. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start off, and I'm going to colour a poppy in here, and I'm going to start off just by colouring all over the base of the area I want to colour in. Now the trick with alcohol pen blending is just to work on a small section at a time. So I'm just going to work on this small leaf, and I'm actually going to blend it to a different colour in the end. So I'm going to leave the tip as it is. Then I'm going to come in with the darker red in the base where we would have the shadow here, and just follow that up. Now can you see, you can see a harsh line where one shade of red hits the next one. That's what we're going to get rid of by colouring over where the two lines blend together. You just colour over them with the lighter colour again, because what happens is the lighter colour bleaches out the darker colour. Now I don't want to continue all the way to the end because that would just bleach out everything, but you can see there, you now don't have a line between where one ends and the next one starts. Now, that's how you blend. If you want to start and get clever, you can blend different shades together. So now I'm going to blend a coral to give us an orange finish to the edge of our poppy. Watch what happens when I add some orange onto the end. You can see that's clearly a different colour, but because it's paler, the more I blend over where the coral hits the red, the more these two colours are going to blend together. And this is the premise behind alcohol pen blending. And you can see there, you now can't see where the coral ends and the red begins. So can you see how we've got that totally different shading? Let me show you that on another leaf again. So I'm going to start with the dark red in the centre, leaving my edge for where I'm going to add the coral in as well. And I'm going to colour right down to the base of my flower here. Okay. So then when we want to add the dark shade in, we come in with the dark red in the centre. And again, this is where you're probably thinking, well, the two wouldn't necessarily blend together. Watch what happens when we go just over the end with circular motions to blend from one shade into the next one. This is the beauty of these pens. They're very, very easy to use. You are seeing them stripped right back to the core piece for which they were designed for. So now you can't see where the dark red ends and the lighter red starts. And I'm going to bleed that out to the coral. So I'm taking my coral and using it in the edge, and again you can see now that harsh line. You can see this is what we start with, this is what we're going to end with, just by blending the two together. So you always go over with the lighter shade, because the lighter shade bleaches out the darker colour. And that is how you achieve a perfect blend using alcohol markers. And you can see our Spectrum Noir system is very, very easy. I'm going to show you a little other technique. I find that the corals blend beautifully with the dark reds. Now, sometimes colours don't necessarily blend together, and I'm going to teach you a technique for how to make them blend. A colour that's notoriously difficult to blend are the dark greens, okay? So I'm going to start off with a lighter green and a darker green and show you a cheat's way of blending them together. So if I just start by colouring in some of my leaves here, I'm going to colour in this section, and this is the beauty of these pens, they've got that lovely fine nib on the end. So I'm going to colour in that one, and I'm actually going to colour in the leaf next to it so that you can see the difference, otherwise you might forget just how flat it looked to start with. So colouring in there right into the edge panels, okay? Now what you can do, instead of going straight in with your darker shade, I'm using here just a cellophane bag, so essentially a piece of packaging. and I'm going to lay down, using the thicker end of my pen, some colour onto this bag, okay? And then what you do is you come in with the pen and you scoop up the darker colour onto the tip of the pen. So the tip of this pen now has the darker colour on. And watch what happens when I colour in. Can you see? I'm actually colouring now with the darker shade. And then you can see as it's starting to run out, it blends beautifully into the lighter shade here. So you can see there how we've picked up the darker colour. I can pick up a little bit more and come and enhance with even darker colour if I want to. Or once you've reached that level of saturation, you can go in and just add some little bits of the darker colour like this. And you'll find that because we've got so much pen on there and the colours are bleeding together beautifully, you can then just bleach that right out perfectly. So look at the shading we've been able to achieve. Now if you compare that with the other leaf, you can see the two colours, and you can see we'd have the dark area underneath where the flower is and how you can blend out beautifully. So that is how to use the pens to blend. And if I bring this one in here, you can see that is the exact same tutorial. I've just coloured all the way through there and finished all of the colouring in. And that hopefully gives you a feel for how to use our Spectrum Noir pens. But to show you some of the effects that you can get using Spectrum Noir pens, look at some of these beautiful cards. Look at the shading that we've got on her jacket there, and the way it looks like her hair catches the light perfectly. Look at the skin tones on here that you're able to achieve. Now all of these different cards, these different effects that you can be achieving are all available as tutorials on our Spectrum Noir website. So if you want to learn how to do different types of hair, you want to learn where to get your different types of shading from. Might not be this exact stamp, but there will be a tutorial showing you how to achieve every one of the different effects, whether it's colouring characters or whether it's doing things like colouring onto craft card. Or in this case, craft card blending with colours that wouldn't necessarily blend together, where you've got the dark reds going into the pale yellows. All of that is on spectrumnoir.com. But hopefully that very quick tutorial there just shows you how to achieve a perfect blend using the alcohol pens from our Spectrum Noir collection.